We turn our attention to the best bets. And before we get to that, I want to give you some stats I promised about Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Well, here we are. Edmonton Oilers hosting the Florida Panthers. And going back the last 17 years, the home teams in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final are 13-4 straight up. 13 wins, 4 losses in the last 17 Stanley Cup Final games in game number 1. And we just look at the favorites in general. Shout out to our buddy Evan Abrams at the Action Network. 11-2 the last 13 years. The favorites in the series going on to win the Stanley Cup Final. 11-2. And the Oilers are a slight favorite in this series at -120. Couple of ways I'm looking to play this. My Conn Smythe Award picks for the Panthers, it is Sergei Bobrovsky at +250. I think that if the Panthers win the Cup, he's the guy that wins the award. I think there are small arguments to be made for other players, but they don't even come close to Bobrovsky. Because if Bob is not good enough, the Panthers don't win the series. If Bob is good enough, the Panthers win the series, and he will be the Conn Smythe Award winner. So he's the favorite from a Panthers perspective at +250. I'd rather take a shot on the +250 on Bobrovsky to be the Conn Smythe than bet the Panthers on the series price to win the series at like +110 odds. Because I think it's that solidified that it would be Bobrovsky that gets the Conn Smythe nod should the Panthers win. Because I don't see the Panthers winning another way. I don't see the Panthers winning if every game is a 5-4 game. I just don't. I think the higher scoring the games are, the more it favors the Edmonton Oilers, which are the better scoring team. And yes, Zach Hyman's out. I understand that hurts them, but they still have McDavid. They still have Draisaitl. They still have Bouchard. They still have Kane. They still have Nugent Hopkins. They have so many scoring options that I think that if it's a higher scoring series, it goes in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. So for me, if the Panthers win this series, it's because of Bobrovsky. I like him at +250. For the Oilers, we know McDavid's the favorite. I get it. I understand all the reasons. I'm not going to argue any of those reasons. But I will say, at +750 odds, Leon Draisaitl to win the Conn Smythe is incredible value. Draisaitl is the favorite to win, or the favorite to have the most goals in this series. And if we look at what we're seeing in the, as far as the stats for the entire postseason so far to right now, Connor McDavid leads all skaters with 26 points. Leon Draisaitl's 1 point back. He's got 25. He's got 1 more goal than McDavid and 2 less assists. So if he winds up leading the series in goals, he outplays McDavid in the series. He's got enough body of work built up throughout the entirety of this playoff run that Leon Draisaitl +750, I think, is great odds for him to win the Conn Smythe Award. So that would be a bet I would place for the Edmonton Oilers. As far as Game 1 is concerned, I'm on the Oilers. The home team trend is too much for me. 13-4 in the last 17 finals. I think the Oilers win Game 1 on home ice. Now, you could play the Oilers -130 on the money line. But something that our very own Jonathan Davis up on VSiN.com has been a big proponent of, has been playing both teams on the puck lines, -1.5 both ways. You get the alternate puck line with the underdog at a heavily juiced price. You get the favorite on a plus money price on the -1.5, because the majority of these games in the Stanley Cup playoffs have been decided by 2 or more goals. And how about this? In games where the favorite has won, and so I like the favorite. I like the Edmonton Oilers tonight. In games where the favorite has won in these Stanley Cup playoffs, 50 games have been won by the favorites. 35 of them have covered the puck line. That's 70%. So if you like the favorites, lay the -1.5 because they are hitting that at 70%. If all you did was bet the favorites at -1.5 when they win the games, because yes, we've had favorites that have lost, but when the favorites have won the games, They are covering minus 1.5 70% of the time. 35 times. You are up 38 units on a $100 better. You're up $3,873. But here's what's crazy. Of those 35 wins that have covered the minus 1.5 puck line, 24 of them have actually covered an alternate puck line of minus 2.5. That's right. We have had 24 games out of the 50 wins for the favorites. 24 of those favorites have actually won by 3 or more goals. Right now, you can get the Edmonton Oilers at minus 1.5 at plus 180. You can get the Oilers minus 2.5 at plus 300. I'd sprinkle on both here in game number 1. Now, could this wind up being a much more even series? And could this series revert back to 1-goal games as opposed to the blowouts that we've seen throughout the entirety of this Stanley Cup playoffs? Yeah, very well. And I do expect this to be a much more competitive series. I think this series can go 7, just like it did last year. And in that series last year, let's look at the results. 3-0 win by the Panthers in game number 1. Covers the minus 1.5. Covers the minus 2.5. 4-1 win for the Panthers in game number 2. Covers the minus 1.5. Covers the minus 2.5. Then they go on the road. They win 4-3. Underdog wins 4-3. Then they're on the road again in game 4. They lose 8-1, the Panthers. So the home favorite in the Oilers covers the 1.5, and they cover the 2.5. Then game number 5, back in Florida, Oilers win 5-3, so they cover the alternate puck line of minus 1.5. Then back in Edmonton for game number 6, Oilers win 5-1. They cover minus 1.5 as the favorite. They cover minus 2.5 on the alternate line. And then game number 7, back in Florida, Panthers win 2-1. We only had 2 1-goal games in the 7 games. So think of the profit that you made by betting the minus 1.5s and the minus 2.5s in last year's Stanley Cup final. So I'm on the Oilers tonight in game number 1. Home team's incredible trends here. We saw the Panthers win at home 3-0. I like the under as well because at 6.5, and I know that these are high-scoring teams, and we had a high-scoring series last year. I just read you the scores. But 6.5 is very rare for a Stanley Cup final game. It's only happened 3 times since 2013. 2013, we had 3 games that were 6.5, and all 3 of them went under. The majority of Stanley Cup final games are lined at 5.5. There's been 8 in that span that have been 6s, and I think this could go to 6. But even those games that are at 6, they're 5-3 to the under. This total is at 6.5. It is minus 125 to the under. I like the under 6.5. So I'm on the Oilers, I'm on the under, and play the alternate puck lines. The minus 1.5s, the minus 2.5s, because they're coming through more times than not, and you are making a very nice chunk of change. Over in Major League Baseball, we have day games, including the Miami Marlins looking to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Colorado Rockies. I'm betting the Marlins to avoid the sweep. Marlins are minus 155 at home to avoid the sweep. Cal Quantrill gets the start for them. Kyle Freeland goes for the Rockies. You can get plus 145 on the Marlins, minus 1.5 runs. That's the way I'm going to play it because I'm going to play both. I'm going to play the money line, and I'm going to put a little bit on the run line as well because of all the losses for the Rockies this year, only a small handful of them out of the 50 losses we've had, all but maybe 10 are by, 1 run or by more than 1 run. So fade the Rockies on the run line. I don't think the Rockies get a 3-game sweep. Those are the best bets, which are brought to you by G-Bank, introducing the $500 trifecta from G-Bank, First Bet, and VSiN. All you need to do is open up a G-Bank Visa Signature credit card, and in the first 90 days, deposit and play through $1,000 at First Bet to trigger the $500 trifecta. You'll receive $200 in cashback rewards on your G-Bank Visa Signature credit card. First Bet will give you a $100 deposit match, and VSiN will complete the trifecta with a free VSiN Pro subscription through October 31st. Head to vsin.com/gbank. That's vsin.com/gbank. This one-time promotion limited to customers opening a new account in response to this offer and will not apply to requests to convert existing accounts. Apply today. Terms and conditions apply. That's vsin.com/gbank.